My name is Joaquin Thompson, Sr. Like millions of Americans, I struggled financially for many years because I was never taught the basics of personal finance. Today, I'm a financial literacy expert, author, and speaker that teaches students and adults the basic components of financial literacy. My goal is to educate, motivate, and elevate people to master the basics of personal finance. I show students and adults how to go from struggling to creating a secure financial future for generations to come. Welcome to the Daily Bread with Joaquin Thompson, Sr. Welcome to the Daily Bread Show. I'm your host, Joaquin Thompson, Sr., and I have the pleasure of having branding expert in with us today, Ms. Maya Dukes. How you doing, Maya?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. You notice I didn't say extraordinaire. So I know every time I say extraordinary, but she is truly extraordinary.
Thank you.
So how have you been?
I have been really well.
Really busy, I see.
Really busy. Glad to be here. Glad to be invited to the Daily Bread Show. Excited.
Exciting, right? Exciting.
It's really exciting to be here.
Before we get deep into branding, because we're going to go there. We're going to talk about college women shine. We're going to talk about everything that makes you an expert. Right. But for those of us that don't really know Maya Dukes, who's Maya Dukes?
I would say I am really focused on helping women, small businesses reach their full brand potential. And so I've dedicated this part of my career to doing just that, right? So helping women use their talent to showcase what they do and to get further in their career or their businesses.
Wow. Now that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So tell us a little bit about your backstory, because I know a little bit about your backstory, but tell us how you got to the point to be a branding expert.
Yeah, so I started my career here in Atlanta at Macy's Corporate, where I helped develop trends and then translate those trends into branded collateral for the ready-to-wear and the multicultural divisions of the business. And so from Macy's, I had really a storied career in branding and advertising, moved on to Home Depot Corporate, where I led the brand transformation for several of their high impact divisions of the business, and then was able to kind of go throughout the country to Dallas at Tuesday Morning Corporate and Comcast, NBC, Universal, and help them, really amplify their brand and their messaging. And so once I came back to Atlanta, I really thought about my purpose and using my talents in my past life to help women who are really trying to get to where I was in corporate, or get a new business, start a new business. How could I take what I had learned and done for all of these Fortune 50, Fortune 500 companies to help women and small businesses do the same for their brands? And so that's my backstory.
Wow, that is story. That was a lot.
I know, it's a lot.
And you compress it, so that was a lot of milestones and a lot of accomplishments and a lot of accolades.
Yeah, it's my brand and it's my story. And so that's the thing I try to teach women and small businesses to understand, to have a short elevator pitch where they can talk about their accomplishments and really their past and what they're trying to do and accomplish in the present.
Wow, man, that's a lot. So now we're going to shift gears and get into something I know that you're really, truly passionate about.
Yes.
Branding.
Yes.
So let's talk about what is branding versus advertising.
Absolutely. So I think I get this question a lot, or I get people who try to approach me to do marketing. And really, marketing is a strategy. It's a plan about how you're going to execute and take your product into the marketplace, right? So it's a set of tactics and measurements and goals. But branding is really understanding what your story is, who you are, what you stand for, your mission, your vision, your values, your unique value proposition, your story, articulating your roots, and then taking all of that information and saying, okay, now I know who I am. How do I articulate who I am, and how do I amplify my shine? Because that's all it is. Your story, your brand is about amplifying your shine and letting people know who you are as a brand.
Right, yep. Right. So that sounds like
so that's the difference.
Yeah, so you got some coin phrases in there, highlights, amplifying your. I mean,
yep.
Those are things that I think a lot of times, and you probably already experienced this. they get mixed up, right?
All
People
the
are talking
time.
about branding, but they're really describing marketing,
Right.
and vice versa.
Exactly. And so I always say, if you don't have a brand, let's just say your Coke or any brand that you think of, you can't really market or ask people to purchase your product if you don't have a brand, if you don't have a story. So that's the same for yourself, right? So how can I ask somebody to hire me or buy from me or utilize my services if they don't know what I stand for? If they don't know what I offer, what problems I can solve for them. And then also if I'm not packaged professionally, right? So there's a part of branding that has to do with packaging, right? So you're packaged professionally. And so it just immediately people are making these 3-second decisions about who you are. And so if you're not really sharp and you don't know what you stand for and you can't articulate that, you definitely can't market it.
Wow. Now that says a lot. That says like, and really from a branding standpoint, we're really speaking to what the customer is going to be attracted to. So you're not trying to get everybody as a customer.
Absolutely
You're
not.
trying to segment it and say, this is my core audience.
Right.
Or like Nipsey Hussle says, these are the people that are going to be proud to pay.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And you and I talked about this before where I used Chick-fil-A as an example, right? So Chick-fil-A, they're trying to sell chicken. That's it. Not beef, not hot dogs, not pork, not whatever. They don't care about the other customers, right? They care about people who love chicken. So you have to get really clear about who your ideal customer is or the decision makers that are helping you get to where you want to be, whether they're decision makers about your products or your services, or they're hiring managers, right? What are their problems? And how can you provide solutions to them? So there are some people who just go to Chick-fil-A because they love chicken sandwiches. And those are the only people they're worried about, right? So a lot of times people try to, target everybody. You can't target everybody.
Right, because you just say, hey, I want to have a successful business.
Right.
It's just too wide,
It's
too broad, right?
And there are enough people who only want chicken to make you successful.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A, again, to your point, great example of that. They've shown that they can take that and grow it into $1 billion business without selling hamburgers.
Period.
Without selling barbecue chicken.
Exactly.
Right? Or pulled pork.
Exactly.
It's just like, that's all we do is chicken, 2 pickles, and a bun.
Right.
And that's it.
So they highlight the things they do best.
And get good, very good at just focusing on being the best at that. The chicken sandwich industry.
Exactly.
So when we look at individuals, what you're saying, if I'm understanding correctly, that we should be the same way about our personal brand.
Absolutely.
Right? And I stand for this. This is where my roots are.
Right.
These are my shine factors. Notice how I've been taking...
I see you. Okay, shine factors.
Taking notes.
Right.
But that really comes across to individuals so that way you like, I'm not into everything, but I am into this.
Absolutely. And I think that's what helped me in corporate. I say only, but in corporate, your education is a big part of where you go in your career. And I was sitting beside people who had master's degrees, and I had an art degree, a 2-year art degree from the Art Institute of Atlanta, but I was a senior director at a Fortune 25 company. Why? Not because of my education or who I knew or, whatever the other factors are. It was because I knew how to brand myself.
Wow. Wow. And that speaks volumes because I know in corporate, a lot of doors don't even open.
Absolutely.
Unless you have the right education listed on the resume. Like a lot of places you can't even get the interview.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is so true because I have an extensive background in corporate. So to have someone with a 2-year or an associate's degree in art, and now you're a senior director, you're managing people with advanced degrees.
Absolutely.
Right? So that really speaks
degrees.
volumes to what you need and what you don't need and how having the correct brand really will take you to places that you thought you may not have been able to achieve.
Absolutely.
So, with that being said, we're really starting to warm up. We're really starting to get this. So I don't want to get too deep right now. Do you have a little time to hang out with us?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I want you all to stay tuned because we have more of the Daily Bread Show coming right up. do you feel like it's important to have a financial literacy coach or a financial planner?
Yeah, I think it would be beneficial to a lot of people. I think they end up in financial situations. Maybe they didn't do good planning ahead of time, or maybe they had a hardship and so they had to get out of it. And also potentially how to help younger people so they don't get into financial issues later on in life.
Okay, great. And the second question would be looking at, and I'm switching gears now,
Okay.
branding, right? A lot of people know about brands like McDonald's and Starbucks. Do you feel like it's important for individuals to develop their personal brand either in the workplace or in an entrepreneurial venture?
I think it's helpful, but it might not be the right thing for everybody. I mean, that gets to be a lot about the individual, and maybe we need to look more as a community or pulling together collectively. So sometimes branding gets us too much focused on just ourselves individually. So maybe, again, we need to see how we can partner with people a little better.
Welcome back to the Daily Brett Show. I'm your host, Joaquin Thompson, and we have our special guest with us today, Ms. Maya Dukes, branding extraordinaire. I had to get it out. I can't let it go because you're just so great at what you do.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate the passion that you have for your craft, right? So it's not just something that you do, but you could feel the passion and how you approach it.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that. But we're talking about branding, which is your area of expertise. But one of the things I also want to ask you about is, what are some of the benefits for an individual that doesn't understand branding? They may say, "Oh, I don't really need a brand. I can do it without having a brand." What advice would you give to that person?
I would just say, in a sea of hundreds and thousands of people doing the same thing, right? So I always get clients who come in and they're like, well, I don't know if I want to start my own business because everyone's doing it, and there's so many other people who are accountants or, closet organizers, and so many people are doing it. How am I going to stand out? And so that's where I tell them, it doesn't matter how many other people are doing it, right? Everybody's doing everything. The point is, how can you differentiate yourself in a sea of other people who are doing the same thing? How can you make yourself stand out? And so that's what branding is all about. It's not about, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you have to let people know why you. So why me? Why should you call me for my branding services? Well, I say my differentiator is that before I design a website, a business card, any client-facing collateral, I have to do a brand deep dive for you. So that sets me apart from other people who are just cranking out logos, who don't know about your brand, right? Because it makes me a better designer, and it creates better collateral for you, right? So that's a differentiator. That's what sets me apart from other branding experts. So what sets you apart and what's going to allow you to shine past your competition? And so that's why branding is important. If you have a service, if you want to stand out in corporate, if you want to sell a product, you have to let people know why you.
Right. So why they should choose you or your product or service
over somebody else,
over someone else.
Right.
But you have to kind of guide them to those points and not just say, I do that too. And they're like,
do that too. Okay.
I can get this anywhere.
Exactly.
Right?
There's some reason why people select brands, right? So usually people select brands that are congruent with their own self-image, right? And so it doesn't mean you're trying to create or craft a brand to get everyone else's attention. What it means is you're trying to figure out, depending on who your perfect customer is or who your decision makers are, what is it about what you do, your services, your shine factors, what is it about what you do that's going to resonate with that customer?
Wow. Okay.
That's really all it is, and amplifying and articulating those qualities.
Okay. And it's very rare that you get the opportunity to speak to a branding expert. So I know we have a lot of people watching the show.
Oh, great.
But what are some of the myths that you run across as far as working with clients or either with small businesses? What are some of the myths that people bring to you that are really not facts, but just misinformation about brands?
I think we covered a couple where people think if there's competition or a lot of competition, they won't succeed. And like I said, that's untrue. You just have to, tell people why you and what makes you better. I think also people get wrapped up in creating a logo or a business card before they've thought about who their brand is.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one, especially when you're out in the world, people giving you business cards. And I just talked to someone about that recently. Someone handed me a business card and it was so flimsy. And I was like, it's like a weak handshake.
Well, yeah,
right?
So that's on the presentation side of it, right? So the packaging, of course, needs to be strong and it needs to stand for something. And so even my business card, people are like, "Whoa, this is a cardboard piece of this is a stick," and I'm like, "Yeah, because I'm a strong brand. I stand for something." So it goes back to your creative collateral, your package has to amplify your brand. So if I don't know what your brand stands for, I can't design a logo for you. I can't design a website if I don't understand your mission, your vision, who your unique customers are, or who your best customers are, and what your unique value proposition is. And so I think people think, I have a logo, I have a business, but you have a brand and a brand positioning statement, then you have a business.
Right, because you see, again, not harping on that, but I see that a lot where it's, I have a website, and then you go to the website and you like...
It doesn't say anything.
Right.
It doesn't make you or your products irresistible to me. You want to be irresistible.
Oh, wait a minute.
So
this is a family-based show, so
your products or your services, right? So I always, there's this concept of, are you providing a vitamin product or service, or are you providing a cure, right? So a vitamin is like, it's nice to have. I need vitamins, but I can get my nourishment through food, right? But am I providing the pill, right? So when I have a headache, I go and take that Tylenol or that Advil. Are you the Advil? I need to have your product. I must have this headache go away. Are you that kind of product where people are like, I have to have this product? Or is it just like a nice to have? Are you a nice to have product? So that's what I mean by, are you irresistible?
Whoa. So you really have to build to that point.
You have to.
And you peel the onion back so that way you help your clients to figure out how they get to the point where they are irresistible, but for a select group of people.
For the select group of people, right? So you are the cure to whatever problems they have.
Wow.
And that's how I position myself in corporate, and that's how I position myself to my clients now. It's like, do I have what you need to make that next step? And if I position myself as that person that's going to help your business grow and thrive, that's going to set me apart from any other branding, expert or guru, because I think a lot of people just get caught up in, I build websites. That's not going to help your brand go to the next level.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So how am I making myself irresistible for the people, the decision makers, and the customers who need my services?
Especially when you're being exposed to them for the first time.
Exactly.
Kind of like meeting a person for the first time. And many times when we're meeting people for the first time, you automatically make an impression about who this person is. Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, we do it. We're guilty of it. It's like you mentioned it earlier, just your packaging. Does the person look, they're overweight, but they're saying they're a trainer.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, you're a trainer, but you don't really look in shape.
Right.
So what would be some of the steps? Let's talk about steps, right? Someone comes to you and they say, you know what, I really do need a branding expert. I'm ready to take either myself individually to the next level in corporate, or my small business, I'm ready for it to grow to the next level. What are the steps needed in order for that individual or for that small business to move?
So I would say for the steps, the first thing I do, whether you're working with me, another branding expert, or you're doing it by yourself, right? When you decide, I want to make a career shift, or I want to start my own business, sit down and really think about your values, right? So what do you stand for, either as a business, if you're starting your own business, or as an employee, an associate, a professional? What are your values? Write them down, be really clear about them, and then really distill them, right? So you need to think about, okay, I can't have 10 values. I can't stand for 10 things. Pick the 1 or 2 values that you stand for and really think about, are all my actions kind of laddering up to that value? and be really clear about your actions, your packaging, how you speak, what you're saying, your message, right? Is it all going back to those values? And I think that's the first step. And then you want to start thinking about what makes me different. What makes me special? And that's what I call your shine factors. So what's going to help me shine above everybody else? I love that term because everybody has their own shine, right?
Right.
And so how am I going to amplify that shine? And you write down a list of all the things you do well. And I think people kind of downplay what they do well, right? So
Right.
if you have, especially in corporate or as a professional, if you have a way of making everybody in the room kind of get on the same page, you're a unifier, that's a shine factor. You need to put that on your resume. You need to talk about that on LinkedIn. You need to talk about that in the interview and talk about times where you were able to take a difficult situation or a situation where people weren't in alignment and bring those people together. Because you know what, like I said, it's not just your education, the piece of paper that says, check, I have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. If you get in a room and every conversation, you lose your mind,
Right.
or you can't get people to kind of get on the same page, but you have a master's, that doesn't help the organization or the
No.
company, right?
No.
So those are the types of things I want you to highlight, put it down on paper, and then think about the times where you were able to, really rise to the occasion based on that quality. And you can do the same thing with your products or services. So I think just walking through the brand pillars that I kind of give my my clients, and it's a big wheel that shows your roots, your mission, your vision, your values, your unique value proposition. Just walking through that branding wheel and getting really clear about what you do well.
Wow. So it's a lot about
That's
being
a lot.
congruent,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because what I'm hearing is you're saying you're using all of these different things in the wheel to get you back to a centralized point. Like, we're going to focus on this, which are your values.
Yes.
This is what you stand for.
Yes.
So you're going to get better and better and better and more refined and just working in that space.
Absolutely.
And that's going to make you stand out even greater.
Right. Because honestly, if you think about, let's just say you think about your degrees or your schooling. Yes, that can make you stand out in some places, right? But really, does it really make you stand out? I mean, there are a lot of people who have degrees. What about your degrees? And I'm not talking about grades, right? Because most employers don't really care about your grades you earned. It's great if you got great grades in college or whatnot. But when you get into corporate, what is going to make you stand apart? When you start selling your products and services, what about your products and services is going to make you stand apart? So I keep talking about Chick-fil-A. This isn't a PSA for Chick-fil-A, but when you think about it, think about their branding. Eat more chicken. Cows, like the cows on, they're like rage against the beef, eat chicken. We want you to eat more chicken. It's a unique way to make people think about their product, right? And what they do. So how can you make yourself stand apart, even if you're selling the same thing that other people are selling?
Wow. And from an investment standpoint, because I know the feedback is going to be like, oh my goodness, I would love to do that. Is there really a big value to investing in yourself, in your personal brand, and or a small business?
Yeah, so let me just say this. I always tell people to think big, right? So you're a small business now, but every small business every big business, most started out small. Most of them. Some of them started out in garages.
Right. We talked about that earlier.
Exactly.
Jeff Bezos. He
Exactly.
just had a garage, had some used books, and now all of a sudden he's the richest man on the planet.
Exactly. So a lot of it is drive and a lot of it is ambition and not wanting to give up on yourself. But then a lot of it is investing to be the best, right? So investing in your brand, investing in your packaging, investing in, using people who can help you kind of amplify your shine. And so it's kind of up to you how far you want to take your brand. So you can either play small or win big.
Oh my goodness. You always come with one. Every time I think I got you, you like, ooh, you could think small. Oh
or win big.
Okay, I'm
Play
gonna
small,
use
play small, or win big.
that. Wow. Now you know I'm gonna have to.
Steal it.
I have to borrow it. I
Borrow
won't steal it because me and you are.
Yeah, that's true.
We got a relationship, so we.
That's true.
I'll keep it though. But
Keep it.
that's what it's really about, is really getting to the point where you not only are investing in your brand, but also are willing to bring in the expert.
Yes.
And many times with the small business owner, they're the, end all to be all.
They are everything.
But bringing in the expert really changes the game, because their competition, they haven't done that.
They haven't. And I'm not saying you have to spend your life savings to try to get an expert. You need to, work within your budget. And of course, there are a lot of free resources. You just need to know, I need to have a brand that stands apart or stands out, and how can I do that in the most economical way possible? So that's kind of why I started working with small businesses and women, because I want it to be accessible, right? I wanted my services to be accessible to people, and not just, be one of those agencies where, you have to be on retainer and it's $10,000 just to talk to me, and, things that people can't really afford when they're first starting out.
Right.
I wanted people to be able to utilize my services. And really, to me, if I have a list or a group of clients who started small and now they're winning big, I mean, that's a reflection on my business and my brand. So,
right.
Start where you can, get in where you can fit in for, for your budget. Don't try to go crazy and get bankrupt, but just realize you need to invest to be the best.
Well, Maya, it goes without saying, we're extremely happy.
Thank you.
That you came and you shared some of this invaluable information with us today.
Thanks.
So we appreciate you stopping by.
Anytime.
And we want you all to stay tuned for upcoming episodes of the Daily Bread Show, where our motto is always to educate, motivate, and elevate.
If not, here's what to do. I promise you won't be misled if you just tune in to the Daily Bread. Daily Bread, Daily Bread. You have all the tools you need to help you to succeed. Just take heed. Listen to Joaquin, the boy graduated from college, dropping so much knowledge. This is what we do, and we are here to educate, motivate, elevate. Educate, motivate, elevate. Educate, motivate, elevate. Educate, motivate, elevate. You can elevate your life. Educate, motivate, elevate. Yeah. Educate, motivate, elevate. Educate, motivate, elevate. You can elevate your life.